Hi everyone. So today we're talking about intermittent fasting. Last time we chatted about all types of fasting diets and the fasting mimicking diet plan. So today I'm just going to cover the very well-known intermittent fasting. There is a lot of misinformation on the internet, so I'm just going to share very scientific information to you so that you can understand what it's all about. Okay, so intermittent fasting is basically periods of voluntary abstinence from food and drink. It is an ancient practice followed in a variety of different formats by populations globally. So there are a number of different types of intermittent fasting diet plans. I'm going to share them on screen so that you can see what they are. Hi everyone. Just get that picture. There you go. So as you can see, I'm going to keep that picture on so that you can that you know what I'm talking about while I go through the different types of intermittent fasting diet plans. So there's the complete alternate day fasting, the modified fasting regimens, time restricted feeding, religious fasting, Ramadan fasting, and other religious fasts. So all of that, those count as intermittent fasting because it is periods that you eat normally and then you fast, normal and fast like that. Okay, so I'm going to just summarize the benefits of each of those. I got it from a meta-analysis study, so it's basically just a study which looked at all the information that's available, like the scientific things, and summarized it into one article. So I just summarized that article for you so that you can decide which type of fasting will work best for your lifestyle. Okay, so let me start. The first one is the complete alternate day fasting, the first one on the picture. So they studied rodents. So in rodents, like rats, this diet has had very good results on weight loss, insulin, glucose levels, cholesterol, triglyceride levels, and liver steatosis. It's just like if you have a fatty liver disease, and then inflammation. It also had effects on your cancer risk and your cell proliferation. That just means your cells that grow normally, or it can grow up normally, then it will lead to cancer. So there was a 22-day study done on the alternate day fasting, and the participants actually experienced 2.5% weight loss of their overall weight. And there's actually spaced data on the alternate day fasting. So alternate day fasting just means one day you eat normal and then the next day you fast, like that. You go on. And they suggest that this regimen can result in modest weight loss and lead to improvements in some metabolic parameters, like some blood results. However, reports of extreme hunger while fasting indicate that this may not be a feasible public health intervention. So just think how difficult it will be to exercise on the days that you fast. So it's maybe not a good thing for athletes. So that was the first one. Then the next fasting, number 2, is the modified fasting regimens, or the intermittent energy restriction fasting. So in this diet plan, you eat normally 5 days of the week, and then abnormally where you fast for two non-consecutive days per week. And on those two non-consecutive days, you eat 20 to 25% of your total energy, of your normal energy requirements. So if your normal energy requirements is 1,000 kilocalories, you will only eat 2,000 or 250 kilocalories, for instance. So there were 2 studies done, and there were significant reduced insulin concentrations compared with energy restriction, but no other differences in blood results. So maybe for people that struggle with high glucose, if you think diabetes is in your family, then this is a good diet to follow. And there was another study done, a 12-week controlled weight loss trial found that the modified fasting regimen combined with combined with the exercise protocol, produced significantly superior weight loss results. So they lost about 6.5% of their weight, compared with only fasting alone, which was 3.2%, or if they only tried to lose weight with exercise, which they only lost 1.1%. So if you do this type of fasting with exercise, you can lose about 6.5% weight, which is quite a lot. So this will be an easier fast to do if you only fast for 2 days of the week and the rest of the time you eat normally. So maybe on your 2 off days of the week, then you do eat 20% of your kilocalories. So maybe on you rest on a Sunday, and again maybe on a Wednesday, and then the rest of the time you eat normally. So this one could be better for athletes. And then the third thing on the list there is the time restricted feeding. So I think this is the one that everyone knows about, where you just eat certain hours of the day. Here the aim is to restrict eating during the night and into the morning. So you will start fasting maybe after your supper, and then you will skip your breakfast, or you skip your supper, and then you will eat breakfast again. So you will eat 2 meals of the day and skip 1 meal of the day. So when you do that, you give your body more rest time, and you eat less kilocalories or energy in the day. So you will fast more than 11 hours, and one study found that you can lose up to 2.1% fat if you fast for more than 11 hours. And then another study reported 4.1% weight loss effect of consuming a single meal in the afternoon for 8 weeks with calorie restriction, compared with a decreased calorie diet where you would normally consume 3 meals per day. So if you eat only 1 meal a day, that could also work as time restricted feeding, but obviously for athletes that would be quite difficult. And then the 1 meal per day condition was also associated with reductions in fasting glucose and improvements in LDL and HDL cholesterol. So your LDL is your bad cholesterol, it would go down, and your HDL, your good cholesterol, will go up from this type of fasting. And then self-reported hunger was higher in the morning for those consuming 1 meal per day. So obviously you will be very hungry in the morning if you only eat supper. And this fasting regimen was considered acceptable because there were no mean changes in measurements of tension, depression, anger, vigor, fatigue, or confusion. So people felt okay on this type of fasting. And then another group of people, they did 13 hours of fasting. So they skipped breakfast, and they did this for 6 weeks, and they observed no benefit with respect to weight change, glycemic control, fats, or inflammatory markers. So actually from this, it seems that eating less at night is a good thing. This not eating for 11 hours. Maybe eat, so have your breakfast in the morning when you train, and then maybe just after your last training session, which is normally we run a track about between 5 and 6, or just after 6 we finish, and then when you get home you eat your post-exercise snacks, and then your supper, and then after that you don't eat anything until breakfast again. Then it will be between 11 and 12 hours. So that will be then your time restricted feeding, that you will then get all the benefits of this type of fasting. So this one could actually work for athletes. And then the next one on the list, I'm just going to go through Ramadan fasting as well, because we do have some Muslims in the club, Muslim people, Islamic people. So it is an important component of Islamic practice for healthy adult Muslims to fast from sunrise to sunset during the holy month of Ramadan. In addition, fluid intake, cigarette smoking, and medications are forbidden. So they normally fast for 11 to 22 hours in the day. And then a study was done on that, and it showed that the people lost about 1.24 kilograms in the month of Ramadan. But then they picked up 0.72 kilogram again about 2 weeks after the fast. So overall, these individuals actually only lost 500 grams. When you take the total amount that they lost and you subtract the amount that they gained again. So they did lose something, even though not everything. And then recent studies have showed that Ramadan fasting practiced by patients with type 2 diabetes for 15 to 21 days lead to a statistically and clinically significant reduction in their glucose levels. So it's actually good for type 2 diabetes to do the Ramadan fasting. So, but however, this feeding pattern is in biological opposition to human circadian rhythms, and therefore unlikely to be pursued as a desirable weight loss intervention. So actually it interferes with people's sleep, and if it interferes with your sleep, then it's not good for weight loss. Overall, I'm going to talk about why sleeping is important for weight loss as well just now. And then the last one on the list was other religious fasts, but I'm not going to go into that because I don't think there's so many people that do the other religious fasts. There is some Christian fasting and things like that, but you can just read that bottom section if you wanted to know more about that. And then I'm just going to go into what do epidemiological studies say. So what do studies say that have actually tried these fasts on people, and what type of illnesses will have benefits on it then, and so on. So the literature indicates that shift work is associated with nighttime eating and increased risk of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer, particularly breast cancer. So people that work at night have increased risk of these chronic diseases if it is in their genes. So more studies indicated that consuming the majority of the day's energy earlier on in the day, like I said, if you eat breakfast but maybe you skip supper, this prolonging the time during which little or no food intake occurs in the evening or during nighttime is associated with lower weight and improved health. So there they said it again. And then each 3-hour increase in nighttime fasting, so the longer you make that nighttime fasting, is associated with your decreased glucose levels. So for diabetes or people that have that in their family. And then also it had lower CRP concentrations. So that just means your stress levels will be lower and your inflammation in your body will be lower. And then these people normally eat less calories because they skipping a meal now. So they eat approximately 30% less calories. Overall. And then they also did a study on breast cancer survivors, and these people, they fasted for more than 13 hours. And the ones that fasted less than 13 hours had increased risk of recurrence of their breast cancer. So this actually shows that fasting can help with treatment of cancer and prevention of getting those kinds of illnesses if you do it. Okay, and then briefly, intermittent fasting regimens are hypothesized. So it just means that people think it can lead to effects in circadian biology, so your sleep patterns, and then your gut microbiome. It can affect your like the bacteria, the good bacteria in your gut, and then your lifestyle behaviors. So now I'm just going to explain to you why it can affect your circadian biology, so your sleep patterns, and then your gut microbiome, and then we can do questions. So consuming energy outside of the normal feeding phase, so if you eat late at night, it may reset some peripheral clocks and disrupt your energy balance. The literature in humans indicates that shift workers disrupt their circadian rhythms, as mentioned earlier, and is associated with increased like heart diseases and chronic diseases like cancer. The meals consumed at night are associated with greater glucose in insulin exposure. So even if you eat the same meal that you would have eaten in the middle of the day, at night you will get more insulin secretion, which is bad for your body if you eat exactly the same meal at different times. So I'm just going to put here that you can see the circadian rhythm clock on the screen. So this just shows you how your body changes throughout the day. And from 6 to 6 is when you should sleep, but maybe from your melatonin secretion starts later on and it ends later on in the morning. So so you can fast when you're supposed to sleep in that dark blue side of the screen. Okay, and then I'm just going to talk about your gut microbiome, the last part that gets affected by circadian rhythms. So the gut microbiome, it impacts your metabolic health. Its diversity is regulated by the diet. So depending on what type of bacteria you have and how much of that you have is affected by what type of diet you follow. And it has a circadian rhythm that is controlled by food signals. So it also changes depending on when you eat in the day, because your circadian rhythm and your melatonin and things also can affect the type of bacteria you have in your gut. So in other words, if you have an unhealthy gut microbiome because you eat unhealthy foods and you eat late at night, then the signals that get sent to your brain will also be unhealthy. So you would want to eat unhealthy food if your gut microbiome is unhealthy. Okay, so therefore, you must give your gut microbiome healthy food and eat at the right times to formulate a healthy gut microbiome. You can also take probiotics to help it along, but if you eat a normal diet with healthy foods, then those healthy gut bacteria will eat that food that you eat, and it will stay healthy. So you won't necessarily have to take probiotics all your life because your gut microbiome will be enough. Okay, so from this information I gave you today, you can see that intermittent fasting can have benefits if it fits into your lifestyle. Choose the type of fasting diet that fits the best will have the most long-lasting results. For us that do exercise, it can be that eating breakfast and lunch and then an early dinner snack would be a good option. Then you eat early and you get your circadian rhythms a kickstart early on and have a longer resting period for the health benefits like mentioned, cancer prevention and chronic disease benefits. Do you have any questions on that? It was quite scientific and long. But did you understand, and is there anything you didn't understand that you want me to clarify better? I will share this information on my Instagram again so that you can go through it and on your own time and then go through the table and the graphs again. How long would it take to get your gut on the right track? So it all depends on how bad your gut was in the first place. If you were eating a lot of McDonald's and things, it would be very bad. And the type of bacteria that you would have would be bacteria that consumes unhealthy foods very quickly. So even if you eat the same meal as someone that have healthy bacteria, you will be able to absorb the unhealthy food even more than the person with a good bacteria. So you will pick up more weight from the same plate as someone with healthy bacteria. So it can take quite a long time. So if you have very unhealthy bacteria and you know you have you've been eating wrongly all the time, unhealthy diet, then get a good probiotic, especially maybe one that is normally in the fridge because they are still live. The ones that's on the shelf in like a powder form or something, sometimes they aren't alive because they've been traveling in a truck for a very long time and they can become inactive. So a yogurt is also a good option because it is live bacteria. But just remember, the minute you open your yogurt, that bacteria starts also dying from exposure to oxygen. So the minute buy a small yogurt that has a lot of live probiotics in it and eat it quickly, then you will get the most benefits from your probiotics. Any other questions? What else do you want to take in regard? Is it in regards to weight loss, or what type of benefit do you want to see? So if it's in regards to probiotics, then if you or if you have a very bad bacteria situation going on, gut microbiome, then you can also take a prebiotic, which helps the probiotic. So it's just the type of foods that the probiotic would normally have eaten, you would take in a pill form for them to get them established and get them into the right environment so that they can start growing and proliferate and grow. Yeah, so like I mentioned, prebiotic, then probiotic, and then things that good probiotics like, or like bananas, anything with like fiber in it, so your fruits and your vegetables. That's mainly the type of food that probiotics like. Any other questions? Okay, so then I'll carry on with my dieting talks next week. So yeah, I'll research another type of diet for you and give you information on that. So I hope you have a lovely day further. Keep training and get your microbiome healthy. Thanks everyone.